everyone. Sorry about the little hiccup at the beginning of I played the ending instead of the beginning, even though it's the same, but it's the amount of black that happens before and after the intro. Anyway, that was the intro. Welcome to Marvel-ous Movie Mondays with Kelsey and Dill. A very short episode because we're talking about some short films today. This is kind of our placeholder just because Kelsey's going away for the weekend. I'm busy with family matters over the weekend. So we're like, you know what? Let's just do this short little podcast. Half hour of your time, and then we'll call it a day. But Kelsey, how you doing?
Good, Dill. Long time no see.
I know. I feel like I've been seeing you way more often than usual this week. We did our draft day the other day for movie theater pet peeves. Go check that one out. It was very fun. Got a little heated, but was still fun at the end of the day. And then we're doing the first Avenger Files. Sorry, I had to burp drinking a seltzer. The first Avenger Files that we've been doing on the channel as well. Things have been good in the few hours since we last talked.
Yeah, seriously. You and your seltzers.
I love my seltzers. It's the best because it's like all the fizz and bubbles you want from soda without the calories. Yeah, without the teeth damage. Because I've had 2 cavities filled in the last 2 years and I don't like it.
My wisdom teeth are coming in.
Oh, that's the worst. I got those out like years ago. Yours took a while.
Well, because this is what happened. I had the same dentist all throughout my childhood and for the majority of my adolescent years, right? And he asked me the same question every time. He was like, "Are you in any pain?" And I would say no. And he would say, "Great, then there's nothing wrong with your wisdom teeth. You're fine." And then all of a sudden, he retires. I get this new dentist when I start college. And the first thing she says to me is, "Oh my God, you got to get your wisdom teeth out." And I'm like, "Why? I'm not in any pain. I thought that was the telltale sign of taking out your wisdom teeth is if you were in pain." And she was like, "Oh no, yours are like on your nerves and they're like impacted. So you need to get them taken out." And I was like, okay. And now cut to, I'm clearly not in college anymore. So I don't know why, but we've just been putting it off. But now I can like fully feel it. My top
so now it's hurt.
Left. It doesn't hurt. I can just feel it. It's coming through the gum. So I'm like, I think I should maybe do something at this point.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that. It's painful. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, it's no big deal." Like, no, it hurts. It's the most pain I've ever felt.
I'm not worried about the procedure itself. I'm more worried about like not being able to eat solid foods and then like having like gauze and then you have to like clean out your stitches. No, I don't want it.
I didn't have a bad time with that. It was also the day of the eclipse too, so it was nice. I got to like sit inside. No, because it was like one of those things where it's like no one go outside because if you accidentally stare at the sun, you're gonna blind yourself. So I was like, okay, so I'll just stay inside. I made a movie marathon. I watched Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind because sun, and then Little Miss Sunshine, and then I watched Twilight Saga Eclipse. So that was my trip for that day. All sun-related movies. It was a great day, and I was loopy on laughing gas because I got it done at like 9 a.m. that morning. So it was an eventful day. I did the laughing gas, not the knock yourself out thing. So mileage may vary. I heard if you go under, you obviously don't feel anything, but it hurts a little more afterwards. Whereas if you get the laughing gas, it doesn't hurt more afterwards, but you kind of feel the digging, and it's a little weird. It's just a weird feeling. I know, right? Anyway, Kelsey, what's your shirt say?
It says I Am Groot.
Oh, how ironic. We're going to be talking about I Am Groot Season 2, aka 5 short films that just aired on Disney Plus about Groot. We're not going to go too in-depth with these, but it's going to be cool to talk about each one of them because further down the line, we're going to run out of questions to ask in these Marvel trivia matches, and it's going to eventually have to be part of the Marvel Trivia League. So we might as well keep it relevant and talk about it here on the show. Kelsey, what were your thoughts on these 5 shorts?
Speaking of, first, before we dive into I Am Groot,
do we have news?
I have some news.
Oh,
I have some news.
Sorry, I didn't get
Which is why it took me so long. Because when you texted me, you were like, "Hey, ready whenever," and I was like, "Oh God, I'm watching this other thing. Hold on."
Were you watching the
assembled episode of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 came out, was released on Disney Plus. So I wanted to watch that. I've been honestly looking forward to this one the most, just because, like, obviously these are my favorite movies in the MCU, and I just love, all the behind the scenes stuff with anything, but especially these. So here's just some like really fun facts. Some of these facts are really, really fun that I learned from the assembled episode. obviously they talked because it was like the send off for like the Guardians as we know it. They talked a lot about in depths of like in characters, like how far each character had come throughout the trilogy and throughout the MCU. And, there's a lot of like some emotional moments because they were talking about how it was like the last time they were all going to be together, so on and so forth. But my favorite parts of these is when we get to hear about the design team and from the creative team and not necessarily from the actors. Because we get a lot of interviews throughout, press releases and things like that, where we get to hear about the actors and their experience, but we never get to hear from the creative team. So I think the big takeaway from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was obviously the incredible costume design and all the different looks that it had and the makeuping and the hairstyling and all that stuff. But I think like all that stuff is obviously like we see that as the audience member and we are like, oh my God, like that looked great. That costume was great. That look was great. That, that special effects makeup was really cool. When it comes to the sets in the MCU, like we're pretty much watching it understanding that at least 90% of what we're looking at is probably green screen. With Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, however, I was happy to learn that they had built full on like 3-story sets, like the story for the set for Nowhere, where the whole beginning intro of the film takes place with Creep by Radiohead playing is like that's like a huge like tangible set with such specific design detail,
which they also use for the holiday special.
Exactly. And one of the things that they James Gunn was like walking us through the set and we got to Peter Quill's room. He was talking about when Rocket first gets attacked by Adam Warlock, and he points out that he's moved the cassette player that was once on the Milano into his bedroom, so we see that above his bed, which is like I just love the attention to detail. It's so cool. And yeah, it's then we talked a little bit about sorry, I found this quote really funny from James Gunn. James Gunn, excuse me, not James Gum.
It's okay. I like gum more than gun. In life.
Yeah,
like, I like chewing gum more than I like guns.
I think between the two, I'd have to also go with gum.
Like you don't need laws about gum control. Like you can chew gum all you want.
Right. But I really don't like gum. If I had a choice of like freshening up my mouth, I think mints over gum every time.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Anyway.
Speaking of, I got my breath savers right here. I'm gonna
Perfect.
eat one now.
See? Enjoy while I talk about the orgoscope. So that was another set that we got to take a look at because that was like, incredibly detailed and such an interesting, because it's like a giant eyeball that the Guardians go into. And James Gunn described it as a wonderful colonoscopy because it just looks like fleshy and like, like someone's insides, I guess. And I just thought that was super interesting. So then I learned this really fun fact about one of your characters in this movie, one of your favorite characters, Dill. One
Mr.
of your
Drax?
characters. No, Cosmo, actually.
Oh, my other favorite character.
Exactly. So I didn't know. So this is a fun fact that I learned right off the bat about Cosmo's character in the Marvel comic books is that the idea of Cosmo the dog is from when the Russians were sending dogs to space during the space race in I guess that was the 1960s, I think. And so they were, we were sending all kinds of things to space, monkeys, dogs. And actually in the comic book, Cosmo is intended to be a male dog, whereas we see in the Guardians film that it's actually a female dog. It's voiced by, obviously, Maria Bakalova. And they did this little gender swap because of this specific dog from Russia whose name was Laika, I believe that's how you say it, who was a dog that the Russians sent to space, a female dog, and she didn't come back. She didn't return, unfortunately, to Earth. So they they were kind of making this play on this real life dog named Laika to embody the character of Cosmo in the MCU, which I thought was really cool. I also didn't realize that Maria Bakalova was doing mocap stuff and like actually walking around set on all fours as Cosmo. Yes,
I wonder if she needed to, or that was like an acting choice. Like, I want to.
Right. Probably a combination of both, to really embody the spirit and the, mindset of Cosmo the dog. She was crawling around on all fours, and it was super, super interesting. Similar to when, Sean Gunn does the mocap stuff for Rocket.
I thought you were going to say when Taylor Lautner was on all fours during the Twilight movie. And Kristen Stewart literally pet his head.
No, oh my god, no. That's the most disturbing, like, behind the scenes, like, information I think I've ever found out ever. I could have lived my whole life and died happily not knowing that. And so, another fun fact. Two fun facts that we learn about the planet of Counter Earth, where we meet all of the animal human hybrids, the humanals, that they, if you will, that they nickname them on the film, and the language that they're speaking was actually a complete made up language that James Gunn himself created. And he said, yeah, it's a real language. It has grammar and everything. And I thought that was so interesting. And like, I think that I know the depths and all the layers of like that man's genius. And then he peels back another layer for me. And I'm like, oh my God, the rabbit hole just keeps going with you, doesn't it? Like I just find him so incredibly genius and fascinating. And another fun fact that I learned about this movie, but like this, obviously this sequence in general on Counter Earth, was that this movie has the most special effects makeup looks in movie history.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I literally talked about it before on this podcast.
Maybe, but
okay.
I found this out in the assembled episode, and so I think, because he brings it up in the assembled episode, I think that number one was quite possibly The Grinch. Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
All those extras, because it's the extras. Right. It's like not just characters, but all the background extras you need to have it too. I actually learned that on the set of the movie I was filming in June, Band on the Run. My makeup artist told me about that, so I was very excited to learn that and share that.
Oh, cool.
I guess it went in one ear and out the other, but if Disney Plus tells Kelsey, she's gonna remember it. There's a lot of things to remember. There's a lot.
Listen, I'm so sorry.
I will go back, and if I said it somewhere else, then I apologize. But I believe I feel like I said it. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's still a cool fact that even if for the listeners who didn't know that's an awesome fact. And I think it's going to win the makeup Oscar. There's some competition.
I hope it does.
Bradley Cooper, the whole transformation for Leonard Bernstein in his movie is going to be a makeup thing. There's also a movie coming out with Sebastian Stan where he's under a lot of makeup. It's going to be a good makeup race this year, though. I have a good feeling about it. It'll be better than The Whale. Whatever ends up winning will be better than one last year. So.
Gunning for Guardians 3, if you will.
I love that. I love how you like took the pause.
Well, because I wanted you to finish your sentence, because I knew that joke was gonna kill. It was a good dill. It was like a good dill quip.
That's great. No, it was a marvelous joke.
And thank you, Dill. And the last two fun facts that I that I found out specifically about James Gunn is that he does take a moment to say, if you ask me the best part of working on the Guardians films, it's working with my brother, and which I just thought was so sweet. And he has this kind of real emotional moment where he talks about working with Sean. And I did notice that at some point when he was, on set directing, he's wearing a Guardians of the Bakery t-shirt, which I'm like, is that merch? Because I'm interested. And also, I wonder what that means. So that was...
I must guard the croissants.
Exactly. So that was the Guardians assembled episode.
You were right, by the way. It is Grinch that held the record before that.
Haha! You're welcome.
And now this one is 22,500 pieces. That's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. That's crazy. All right.
But I believe it, though, because they really popped off with the makeup looks in that movie.
Yeah. Well, that's probably the big crux of the episode. Let's talk about these 5 shorts now with AM GROOT.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really not a ton to say. I mean, like we did when we last talked about it, we kind of tacked it onto another episode. This time it's kind of its own episode. These shorts are fine. They're cute. I found that they went better as they went along. I don't know if you watched them in order or not. I think it
Oh, I
definitely
did.
got better as they went along, but some of them are just like, like, I don't know. And then some of them were like, this was cute. This is a cute idea. Like, they range for
Right.
me. But let's go through them real quick and then talk about them, give them our thoughts. You probably have more thoughts than I do, honestly, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, maybe. I have like one major takeaway, really. Okay, so I Am Groot season 2 dropped on September 6th. It was written, and first of all, I want to give a shout out to the creative team behind this now, because it is written by, directed by a woman named Kristen Lepore or Lepori. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And the music, which was my favorite part of the whole thing, Dill, spoiler alert, the music that goes behind each of these shorts is composed by Danielle Lupi. So it's like a woman team. It's like a badass group of women making
Except
these.
didn't hire a single actress. Ugh.
Okay, well,
I'm joking. No, I'm joking. It's a
it's
joke
only
because
Vin Diesel.
there's only 3 people in. Well,
I know.
there's 2 more.
Yeah.
We'll talk about them.
Okay.
One who literally has a line, and then one who
Yeah.
actually gets a lot of talking. So we'll talk about them.
You're right. So the first episode of I Am Groot season 2 is entitled "Are You My Groot?" A little wink, wink, nudge, nudge at the Dr. Seuss book "Are You My Mother?" I'm assuming, and basically,
that's funny.
yeah, you're welcome.
I didn't pick up on that.
And so basically, Groot discovers an alien-like bird that has just recently hatched, and he tries to parent it. He tries to take care of it, but then he soon discovers that being a parent isn't so much fun when you're trying to take a nap in the middle of the day and your baby keeps bothering you.
Okay.
And this one was fine. I would say out of the 5, this is probably my least favorite.
I agree. This one, I was like, all right, why'd I waste 3 minutes? But again, it's only 3 minutes, so it's like, it's not a big deal, you know? Great animation, though. I think the animation, considering, you know, they're only 5 minutes, they really can just hone in on the best animation they can get. That's why they can make these animated budgets. You know, it's great to see, especially with the strike going on. It's like, you might not even, I don't know if, this was probably filmed before the strike, but even then, it's like, all you need is Vin Diesel in the booth to say a few things, and then 2 other actors. Like, this is something that very clearly could happen regardless of the strike or not. So while we do at this channel support the strike and support what the writers and actors are fighting for, it's nice that like this is something to keep us busy and fed in the meantime. But this short, it was whatever, you know.
It was fine. The second one, though, big leap in the other direction for me. This was probably my favorite of the 5. Episode 2, Groot noses around.
Okay.
And so basically, when Groot discovers a prosthetic nose, he uses it to discover the better smells of the world, as well as some of the worst smells of the world. Which was an interesting concept, because I didn't realize that Groot couldn't smell until this episode. And I guess that makes sense, because it doesn't really have a nose or like holes or anything to like take in.
But also, like, how does, for me, it's like the suspension of disbelief. Like, how does this biologically make sense now that he can all of a sudden smell? You know, I was just like, huh. And it was kind of a joke that went on a little too long. I guess these aren't too long, any of these, but I was just like, okay, this is fun, whatever. I honestly thought, because I was like, how are they going to ditch it? Because we know when he grows up, like, this is a prequel essentially now at this point, because this is the Guardians 2 Groot. So like, what makes him get rid of the nose? And I thought it was gonna be like he smells like Rocket's asshole, and he's like, ugh! And that's how he gets like Rocket, like he's like sleeping next to Rocket, and like he's like close to his butt, and he's like, ugh! But instead they like go to the one with the toilet, and then he just kind of like scoffs and runs away. I'm like, I was just waiting for that moment, but I don't know.
Sure. Well, I liked this one just because I liked there's a few different moments that happened throughout it, which I was just like, oh, that was really creative. And like, you know, I wouldn't have thought of that. So first of all, he's kind of in his like man cave era in this episode, where he's, you know, he's pigging out, drinking a juice or a coke, a soda of some kind, eating all kinds of junk food. And that he seemingly he's been sitting on this giant bean bag for seemingly days, could be weeks, and he's just like going to town on his video game when the batteries die and he needs to get new batteries. And while looking for batteries, he finds the nose. But before he gets up out of the chair to kind of let the audience know how long he's been there. His twigs and his branches have kind of like, he's kind of like stuck a little bit to like to the chair a little
creative.
bit. Which
that was a creative gag. Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting choice. And also there was an Easter egg, I'm not too sure, but there is a part where he's reading a comic book, and I thought that, possibly this is like a Marvel comic book that they're kind of, alluding to. But
did you look into it or no?
I looked into it. No one really had answers for me online. I paused the screen and I tried to get really close and like zoom in on the screen, but I couldn't really. It looked to me similar to like how the Archie comics kind of look. Like it was the similar like drawings. I didn't really necessarily see Betty or Veronica or Archie or anyone, but it was like that vibe of comic book. So I don't know who's to say if they were hinting at anything with that frame. And then he gets this nose and he kind of like goes around and he's, experimenting with all these different like things that smell really good, like flowers and a candle and all this different food. He walks up to a wine glass and he swishes it around like a sommelier, like and then he just like chucks it behind him, which I thought was a cute moment. And then one thing that I was very purposely an Easter egg was at the end of the episode when, he walks into his room that he's been living in. He smells how horrendous it is because he hasn't been cleaning up after himself. And then he has the moment where he goes to the feather duster and you think, oh my God, he's going to clean his room. But he just uses the feather duster to like get the nose off of him.
Right.
And then he continues playing his game, and his character in the video game he was playing was a Skrull. So a little, homage, if you will, to
definitely use Skrulls better than Secret Invasion used Groot. I'll tell you that.
Honestly, that moment in I Am Groot could have been all of Secret Invasion, and it would have been better than what Secret Invasion actually was.
Yep.
So let's move on to episode 3, Dill, which is titled not entitled. It's not like you're acting entitled. It's titled.
Yeah. But he is acting entitled. Oh wait, no. He's not entitled in this one. He's entitled in the next one.
Not yet. Exactly.
Yeah, this one though.
This one is just simply titled Groot Snow Day, which was also fun. Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. So would you say this one's your favorite out of the 5 of them?
No, I'll tell you my favorite in a sec. Okay, but I did really like, there's this one very funny gag where like it looks like he's almost about to like go sliding down on his stomach down the snow, and he jumps and it just right through.
Yeah,
that to me is just so good.
That was
it's
good.
Like, because you know what he wants, and then and then at the end he's like, fuck it, and then he starts like snowboarding. I thought this one had like some good just overall humor. I thought there were fun visual gags. I like the kind of atmospheric stuff about the snow. I mean, the snowman was fun, and the fact that he like blew it up. I liked it. It was very cute.
So first of all, I didn't note that from I don't know if we would have known this without reading the description for the episode, but according to the synopsis for it on Disney Plus, we are on the planet of Falagar, which was a planet that we had visited during Thor: Love and Thunder. It was actually the planet where he found Sif with her arm cut off, and she was like, "Oh, I'm going to Valhalla." Valhalla, and he was like, "No, but you're not actually, because you didn't die in battle." And then we cut to the next thing. I know we don't love to bring up Thor: Love and Thunder on this podcast, but just so we know, I pay attention to detail out here. And so, he ends up building accidentally this killer snowman because he's using, part snowman, part machinery. He puts a rocket in the head. And what was the most fun for me deal with this episode was when everything kind of activated and turned on, and then like half of the snowman's face melted away. So you kind of had this like half mask, almost like a Phantom of the Opera sort of thing, where he has this mask on and then like half of his like mechanical face is revealed. It just made him look really menacing. I was like, I really liked that. It's just like these little things that like, animation is like usually made for like children's entertainment, but it doesn't mean that these people are like any less like creative or like really intelligent in their choices. You know what I mean? And it's just like these little things that like obviously a kid is just going to be like, whoa, now the snowman's scary. But it's just like as an adult, we watch these and we're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
I looked at it and went, "Oh, the snowman's scary."
Scary. And so he's able to defeat the snowman by throwing one last snowball at it. Not because he wants to save the Milano, because he's like, oh, if I don't have a rocket ship, I can't get home or back to my friends or whatever. It's because he wants to save his hot cocoa, which I thought was also really funny. It's like it's like, oh, the snowman's going for the ship, and then it zooms into the cocoa, and that's when Groot is like, oh, no, not my cocoa. And then so he ends up he saves his cocoa, and we get this cute little quick post-credit scene or mid-credit scene, if you will, where he finally gets to drink his cocoa, and it's actually horrible. So he
my thought is that it's no
away.
longer hot. So he's like, ugh.
Yeah, that's probably more likely.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it's probably
because smell it.
It's not, you can't smell it anymore. So my question is that if you can't smell, can you taste things? Because aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, they say that a smell can enhance or change the way something tastes, but I still believe.
But I guess
like when I have a stuffy nose, I can still taste certain things.
See, there was a point I got the Omicron variant of COVID, and I didn't lose my sense of taste like entirely, but like it was definitely muffled. Like I was definitely eating food, and I was like, this is not hitting like it normally would.
Yeah. And of course,
so we get a Bradley Cooper cameo, but with an off. We don't see Rocket, but we hear his voice, and he just says like, "Dude, come on."
Yeah, which is crazy because like he probably made bank on just that one line.
Right, those two words.
Yeah,
3 words, I guess.
Crazy. All right, move on to my favorite shorts. Groot's Sweet Treat.
Groot's Sweet Treat, yes, episode 4. This one was also really fun because we had an ice cream spaceship, like how we would know them on Earth as an ice cream truck, but we have
which I think is a genius idea in and of itself. The idea that it's like it plays the tune and it goes by, and in space it's even harder to track it down because you can't be like, hey, stop, because you're in space. I love
it. So you'd think it would go by slower, so people would like be able to like get their outfits on if they want to go out and get some.
I think it did go by pretty slow.
Yeah, you're right.
So small that it,
No, yeah, you're right. So basically, Groot in this one is scrambling to get some money to use for his ice cream truck. He goes to a piggy bank first. The coin falls in between a grate, so he can't get to it anymore. What else does he do? Oh, he goes digging like underneath a sofa, and he finds like an old like piece of pepperoni. It seems like space pepperoni from a piece of pizza, but it's all moldy and gross. And he takes a bite out of it. It's disgusting.
Which
and then
does prove that he doesn't need his sense of scent to taste.
Right. Oh, there you go. Mystery solved.
Right.
And
it's like they thought it through. Which they probably
exactly.
didn't. But we clocked it.
And then there's a crane machine on the Milano filled with like little prizes that seemingly have money in them. And at first we're thinking like, oh great, he's gonna like go to the crane machine and use his crane machine abilities to get the crane to get the prize with the money in it, but he just launches himself straight through the glass. It's like these quick like what are they called in comedy when you like almost like a bait and switch where you expect one thing to happen and then it does the other. There's like a term for that in comedy, but I can't think of it right now.
Yeah.
And so he realizes that this toy money is fake. It's not real. And so, the crane machine comes crashing down. He gets all the real money, all the real coins that have been submitted into the crane machine, which, by the way, what a horrible prize to put your real money into the crane machine to then win the prize of fake money. That's a lame crane machine, if you ask me.
Chocolate inside of it.
Oh, that's what it was?
Yeah, doesn't he like the gold slip comes off and it's chocolate underneath?
Okay.
Right?
Well, then that... Yeah.
I don't know, though, because then why would he even need to get to the ice cream
it probably is chocolate, Jill. You're probably right. Because
it's like those gold
because then my way just doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. Either way, though, it's like either he should just settle for the chocolate then, or...
Right.
Yeah,
but he really wants ice cream. You want what you want out here,
Yeah, I guess.
So now that he has the real money, now the ice cream truck is basically or the ice cream ship, if you will, has completely flown by the Milano. It's no longer within his reach. And he just decides, well, you know what? I'm going to get in this pod and I'm going to get to the ice cream ship myself. And he puts on these cute little goggles to like man the spaceship. And I just thought that they were so cute. And then he like basically crashes into the spaceship,
yeah,
the ice cream ship. And
which I thought was just hilarious. I laughed so
yeah.
much. It was so funny. And then it's just like out there floating around with all these like ice
Yes.
cream debris. And then you see
Yeah.
all like the cops come. I'm like, and he's just chilling there eating his ice cream. Like,
Because
it's the innocence for me. It's like he doesn't
Yeah.
even realize how destructive he is. But he literally just like, imagine how many people were selling ice cream on that ship that just
right.
got massacred by this little guy in a yeah, it's awful.
It's crazy because they, you know, they obviously, baby Groot is like just so, like you said, to like childlike and innocent, but he's so destructive and violent that the two just like juxtapose each other like so brilliantly. It's just a bit for me that I think will always land. Like I don't ever see this like getting old, you know, watching him get into some shenanigans. And so we get a needle drop, the only needle drop in the whole season, other than the brilliantly composed music from behind all the shorts. We have a needle drop, It's Only You by The Platters, and then we get a little remix as the credits play. But we do get some Easter eggs with the ice pops. Dill, did you notice who may have their own ice pop?
Oh, Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck, exactly.
It was
like how we have Spider-Man and SpongeBob ice pops. There's a Howard the Duck ice pop in the Guardians universe.
Love that.
And also, I would like to point out, and I think the only reason why this idea came to me was that when I was looking into the comic book that he was reading, the title of the article was, does I Am Groot Season 2 tease Eternals 2? Which I thought was crazy because I was like, what? Where are you guys getting the connection to Eternals 2? And I think this might be it. So there's obviously the Howard the Duck ice pop that kind of like lands on the windshield on the pod that Groot's in. But I did notice that the ice pop that he was actually eating was like an oval with like the 3 circles in it on either side. And it looks very reminiscent to what Arisham's face looks like, the Celestial in Eternals. So I thought that maybe that was it. It seems kind of a little bit of a stretch to me.
Tease the movie though.
But I don't know
it
how
can
that
be
teases
referencing
the movie in any way.
Yeah, like,
right.
Like, oh, is that what the plot of the next one's gonna be? Is someone gonna eat Arisham?
Once I realized that the article had nothing to do with the comic book that I was talking about in episode 2, I stopped reading it, so I didn't even get too far into what they were talking about, but I was just like, interesting.
Yeah, that was my favorite one though. It was cute. Again, none of these were groundbreaking, but like that was the best one at like a 6 out of 10, and I liked it.
Yeah. And then our last episode, episode 5, Groot and the Great Prophecy. Obviously, this one has the biggest cameo of
Jeffrey Wright.
The I Am Groot. Yes, and it is the Watcher gets an episode. It's, you know, starts very much like a What If episode, like, I am the Watcher, and this is a story I have to tell you about this universe. And it's basically this seed, the last seed of Drazlar needs to be saved. And Groot is seemingly the only person in the whole universe who's been in charge to saving it. But, you know, Groot is Groot, so he just sets off every single booby trap in the joint. You know, arrows are flying at him. He sets off one last booby trap that, like, causes lava to flow down into all these crevices that, you know, are going to destroy the seed if he doesn't get there in time. And he starts drawing on a mural, a very ancient mural. He just starts, like, coloring on it because, you know, he's a little kid. And the Watcher's like, well, this can't get much worse. And then
I did love the Watcher's commentary throughout. Yeah. Just like, you cannot be serious. Like,
no, yeah,
it's really funny.
Yes, it made a very serious character like almost kind of like break and like get annoyed, which was funny because you know, that's funny. And so he has this moment where he leaves the screen and he's like, oh, well, maybe this can't get much worse than it already has. And you just hear the tinkle of Groot relieving himself and going to the bathroom, and the Watcher's just like, oh wait, just kidding, it did just get worse. And so finally he has this moment where he's trying to take a nap, but these lights, lead him into the direction of the seed. And so he's like, oh, I'm going to go up to the seed. But then we just find out it's to just get the ball he's been playing with this whole time. The seed gets destroyed. The temple in which he's in gets destroyed. And the Watcher's like, listen, I'm the Watcher, but like, I can't watch this. Like, if this little innocent baby creature is about to,
Right.
eat it, I don't want to witness this. But, we find out that the seed was kind of just a metaphor for Groot, and Groot turned out to be the seed all along, because it was like, no, the seed was supposed to bring happiness and joy. And then when Groot emerges from like the rubble, it's like, oh no, he's the seed that's going to bring happiness and joy to everyone.
Yeah, it was a cute way to end the 5 shorts, just like kind of like the last season. Like the last one was the one where he like drew that picture for Rocket or whatever. Like it's nice that it ends on this really sweet note. So this was definitely my second favorite of the 5, but it was sweet.
I think so too, actually, Dill.
So your favorite was the noses?
My favorite was the nose one. I thought that was the funniest for me. What was interesting about this one, though, is that they kind of alluded to the fact that Groot might be able to see the Watcher, because we had a few moments in the episode where it looked like he could have been waving to him, and the Watcher was like, how is he doing that? So it's just, it would be really interesting if like he could, but he's just like Groot, so like why would he ever verbalize that, like, oh, and even there's this man in the sky?
I don't know if we're ever gonna like follow up on that either. It might just be a one-time thing,
a little
like
gag,
a little wink. Yeah, I don't know,
but yeah. Anyway, what I liked about the last one, Dill, especially, was that it reminded me that like, because everything is like connected, like you never know like what's gonna connect, who's gonna pop up where. So it was just like this like really sweet, like, perfect way to kind of bridge, with this character. You can kind of bring him up in any project or movie or anything, because like he's a 5-dimensional being, as he says, and it is just there to watch. So he's just like this perfect bridge in between all of them. And basically, my big takeaway from these, Dill, was that, I mean, you don't seem like you love them. I wouldn't say I love them, but
they're fine. They do the job. They do the job.
Right. But I will say, though, that if, like, I could potentially see Groot, like, getting his own kind of, like show for kids. Like, I think that these would definitely, like, if they just add some more substance to them and add some more characters around him that, like, speak more sentences than I Am Groot, like, I think he could definitely get like 20, 25-minute episodes for children. I think that this is like such a really cute and funny idea, and it would be a really great. He's such a great character to like learn lessons through for kids, because he's a kid himself. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's funny because I think that's what we thought it was going to be when they first announced it. We were like, oh, we're going to get a Groot series. And then it was like shorts. We're like, oh, this is it.
Right.
But I think it does the job well. I think it can just be all these shorts too, and it still works. Like, I don't even think you need to elongate it, because honestly, I feel like if any of these went on a minute longer, they might not work. I think the beauty is that it is over and out. But yeah, if you're right, if they can add substance to it and make stories that require a longer runtime but have more like simplistic stories and like methods and themes, like, yeah, I'd be down for it. And it's probably cheap to make. You only have to hire one actor for sure, and then you can hire more, but you don't have to. And the animation, it's much easier to animate than to mix animation with human. So I think there's just a lot of benefits to it. It's why they're doing a What If season 2. Any other thoughts on I Am Groot before we wrap things up? I have one last thing I'd like to announce, but if you have anything else.
No, that's all she wrote on Groot.
Cool. So one thing I wanted to bring up actually kind of is a good transition from The Watcher, and that is What If Season 2. Now, we don't know exactly when that's going to come, but I do have a suspected list of what the episodes are, if you would like to hear them.
Oh, okay. An inside scoop?
Yeah, an inside scoop. Let me get the actual list of what I had. Hold on. I just lost it. Hold on. What If Season 2.
How did you find this out?
I just stumbled upon it, honestly, and okay.
So is this like confirmed, or is this just like rumors or like fan theories?
This is from what I believe to be kind of like the leaked Season 2 episode titles, I believe. So we can theorize all we want. Okay, here we go. I don't know if this is the right order of the episodes, but if you don't want to hear anything about What If Season 2, tune out now. But this is the list of 9 episodes from what I have gathered. Cool. First one, what if Gamora killed Thanos?
Ooh, already love it. I'm on board.
The question is it when she's young? Is it when she's a teenager? Is it when she's older in Infinity War? Is it at the mountain with Red Skull? I don't know. We'll have to find out. The second one is a continuation from Season 1. What if Captain Carter finds Hydra Stomper? Do we remember what Hydra Stomper is?
Oh, that's the machine that Steve Rogers is in.
So what happens if she finds it? Which I think is like kind of a cliffhanger they had from the first episode.
Oh,
so they're going to continue Captain Carter's story, basically.
Okay, cool.
Okay. What if the Tesseract landed in Haudenosaunee Confederacy before the colonization of America? Introduction of a new hero named Kahori. This one was the most puzzling one because it sounds like it's going to be an entirely new character and new theme and new concept to the MCU.
Interesting.
But what if the Tesseract landed in a confederacy before the colonization of America? Very interesting. The next one. What if Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne fought the Red Guardian during the 1980s? What if Ant-Man the Wasp fought Black Widow's dad?
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. Maybe a return of David Harbour.
Yeah,
fifth one.
That'd be fun.
Fifth one, which kind of feels like a little bit of a continuation maybe, or something spun off of the first one as well. What if Yondu delivered Star-Lord to Ego? So, yep, that's another one.
Yeah.
Number 6 is an Iron Man 3 themed one called What If Happy Hogan Saved Christmas? I don't know what that's about. That sounds sweet.
I like that.
This one is my favorite one. Ready? What if Wanda had grown up watching musicals instead of sitcoms? Could we be seeing a Wanda Maximoff musical episode? I sure hope so.
My brain would explode, Dill.
Number 8. What if Odin and Hela had faced Wenwu, which is Shang-Chi's father? Interesting. And number 9. What if the Avengers had fought Surtur from Thor Ragnarok?
So, cool.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the themes. The top 2 have been confirmed. Gamora killing Thanos and Captain Carter from season 1, the continuation, are like actually happening. The others are like the ones they haven't been confirmed, like that those are the names of those episodes and that's the order, but that's generally believed to be what we're going to be getting for season 2. So just figured that'd be a fun announcement drop to kind of round out this episode. Any thoughts in general on that? The Wanda musical thing has me so hooked.
That one, yeah. That one's definitely going to be a standout. I mean, I would love to see a Captain Carter kind of like reunite with Steve Rogers the way Steve Rogers was able to reunite with Bucky. I love the what if Gamora killed Thanos, because even, whenever that character gets his comeuppance in any way, getting his head chopped off, whatever, I'm happy. So I would be happy to watch that.
Happy saving Christmas is
Happy
a big one.
Hogan saving Christmas. That just seems so sweet. And I know Jon Favreau would be in on that one. So that's just
made Elf.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, super exciting, Dill. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah, you're welcome. That was my news, but I wanted to save it to the end because I knew we were talking about The Watcher, so I wanted to
Right. Smart.
And to tease next episode, you're getting this on Monday, the 17th, 18th, 19th? I don't know.
17th. No, 18th. No, 17th.
You're getting it next Monday, but a week from this Monday will be Kelsey taking on JD in trivia, which is very, very exciting.
Great.
And for our double feature, we usually do 2 matches, but Matt Fisto has a big announcement he would like to make. So we're going to give him the spotlight. So we're going to have Kelsey play JD, and then Matt Fisto will come on to make an announcement that he says is going to change the trivia landscape forever. I don't know what that means, but we're going to have to wait to find out to see what that means.
I've been getting
lots of calls. Been getting lots of calls from a lot of competitors asking for matches, and I don't know how I'm going to possibly fit in all these matches by the end of the year. So I don't know if there's any grand glimmer of hope for whatever Matt Fisto is going to bring to the table. I don't know, but we'll have to all be on the edge of our seats and find out. Anything to add, Kels? Anywhere they can find you? I know your TikTok's different now, but I will change that graphic for next time.
My Instagram, okay, the good thing is that it's very similar to my Instagram. So my Instagram is at Kelsey A. Kilpatrick, and then my TikTok is now at Kelsey A. Kilp. So the first 4 letters of Kilpatrick, which is K-I-L-P.
I wish there was a way to draw
simpler
on the layout. Like I can make us smaller, like this. Can you see us smaller? No.
No.
Oh,
nothing changed for me.
All right, never mind then.
Well, anyway, it'll be different for next time. No worries. Oh, we've zoomed in.
Yeah, I can do that stuff, but I can't. I can't get rid of your thing in real time. Anyway, find me at Dylan_Randazzo Twitter, Dylan Randazzo 417 at TikTok, and the Dill Pickle Movie Network at TikTok. And if you haven't voted on the recent draft for movie pet peeves, myself, my sister Kelsey, my sister Nina, and then Chad and Carrie Webb helped draft 5 movie theater pet peeves each. And we got some very polarizing responses, some great responses, some bickering back and forth at times. Kelsey loves the butter. I don't love the butter, but who cares? It's a movie theater. We all have our own tastes and distastes, and at the end of the day, we love movie theaters and we want to make them better. But if you haven't seen that, if you haven't voted on that poll, check that out. If you haven't watched my video for the top 10 movies of summer 2023, watch that one as well. That's coming out this weekend. This past weekend it came out. At the time we're recording this, it hasn't come out. But anyway, and if you want my full list of every movie I watched this summer ranked, you can go to the Dill Pickle Podcast for an audio exclusive where I rank every single film I watched in the summer. And then the video is just the top 10. So, trying to give you guys some audio exclusives as well. But that's it for me. That's it for Kels. And we'll see you next time with some trivia.